So when I started reading, Jenny also speaks about, obviously her complications with hearing about her daughter who has just gotten married and everything's peachy keen, wonderful. And then all of a sudden she hears her daughter wants to move away for a season or a year or a couple of years. And not only move, but maybe move out of the country completely. And side note, I chug Dr. Pepper. So all of a sudden she's overwhelmed with emotion, overwhelmed with feeling, and doesn't understand why. Like she tries to just ignore it or try to push it away or not even just take the time to make it make sense. She's just shoving it away, but wondering, and even if she shoves it away, it's still there. I know we've had that feeling. I know I've had that feeling a million times over, more than I would like to say. But where does it stem from? Is it something that you currently deal with now? Like, are you looking at this problem like it's a current issue? It really does bother you in this one sense? Or is it related to something else that you haven't dealt with, that you haven't taken the time to comprehend, understand, feel? Let's find out. One of the things that really stuck out to me was on page 4, the very next page. She says in here, "What fresh hell had I tumbled headlong into? My reaction was not rational. I knew. I realized it in my head, but something bigger than knowing the right answers was happening to me. I played it cool. I pasted a grin onto my face. I held eye contact with my child. Nice and steady, Jenny. That's it. That's it. And I focused on inhaling calmly. This wasn't about me, and I knew it. Equally true, this was absolutely all about me." Then she goes into another part I noticed. She asked the question, have you ever had a disproportionate emotional response to a situation that should not have affected you in such a dramatic way? Yeah. So I've had so many disproportionate emotions happen in my life that were definitely not appropriate or didn't make sense. I would lash out. I would be erratic. I would say certain things I definitely didn't mean. And then I would wonder why that happened afterwards. Why did I do that? That's an overreaction, an overreach, an overextend. Too much for that other person. I've definitely felt that before. And she says here, have you ever stopped to think about what the reason for that response could be? There are always things beneath the things. Think about that. There's always things beneath the things. I, one point, did a Bible study on my own, and it was about a couple and how the couple themselves were just going about daily life, right? Like anyone else would. And I guess the wife, she in particular she was on her way home from work. And she was exhausted, worked a very long day. She worked in the hospital, worked a 16-hour day. She's beat, she's tired, she wants to go home. And she didn't want to deal with kids. She didn't want to deal with her husband, fiance, girlfriend, whatever. So she comes home and her husband is at home and he's waiting for her. And he says to her, what's for dinner? Don't we hate that question? Don't we hate it? It's almost like a loaded question. Like, I know you want to know what's for dinner, but also, what have you done all day? Not stating that men don't do anything all day, but it's one of those things where it's the last thing we want to respond with or answer because I'm tired. I worked all day. I worked a 16-hour day. Put yourself in her shoes, working a 16-hour day and also going to the grocery store right afterwards. How many times do we have to do that? We got to go hit the grocery store as soon as we get off work. Then we have to make sure we do a to-do list. Then we got to make sure dinner gets made. And then we got to make sure that lunches are made for the children or diapers are bought or bedtime routine has been started. And you haven't even breathed yet. So the husband asks, what's for dinner? And she says, I didn't pick anything up. So he's a little frustrated, but he says, well, can you make me a sandwich? She says, sure. So she makes him a egg salad sandwich and she comes back with it and he gets upset because he goes, "Where's the cheese?" She goes, "What?" And he goes, "Oh, well, I normally have this with cheese." She then explodes. She loses her mind, starts saying all types of not Christian-like things, and she comes down on him hard, tells him that he doesn't care, that he doesn't love her anymore, that he doesn't listen to her, that it's just one steamrolling effect. You know, it's just a steamrolling effect of, you know what? I did something I thought that you asked me to do. It's not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm doing the best I can. And then we just keep going. And then we start steamrolling those feelings over other people that we love, demeaning the people that we love. It's not fair to them. Now, granted, as a partner, you should know. You've been with this person for X amount of time, and if you're in a brand new relationship, welcome to the show. It's not necessarily either person's duty to be able to make sure that you can control yourself or they can control themselves or so on and so forth. It's our job to be able to do our best to be able to help it within ourselves, to be able to know that I'm lashing out because of this, but I'm also mainly because I'm tired, because I'm exhausted, because I've had a long day, because the last thing I want to do is try to appease you when I've barely appeased myself. So, moving on. We experience something impactful. She mentions this on page 5. We react to that thing by stuffing our feelings or minimizing our feelings or ignoring how we feel altogether. Then something else comes our way, or something that's not even that big of a deal, and we lose it. We unload on a loved one. We catastrophize. Ooh, good word. We catastrophize. We ugly cry, heaving until we can barely breathe. And then we regret what we've done. Why did we freak out? Why did we demean our spouse? Why did we shame our kid or yell at our roommate? Why did we make that insane assumption and blame and threaten and walk right out the door, slamming it behind us as we left? What was that all about? What was underneath it all? Short answer, a lot. As the signs in the Bible will show us, somewhere along the way, maybe from things I heard at church or just from growing up, I learned I wasn't supposed to feel or supposed to be sad or angry or scared. I was supposed to be okay, so I needed you to be okay too. Or maybe it's just because I hate the feeling of being out of control, and I believe these feelings were too scary and sitting in the hard felt too hard. Every time I experience sadness, fear, anger, emotions I've been conditioned to not want to feel, my brain immediately moves to fight off the feeling, much like my immune system takes down a virus. My brain attacks the feeling, judges it, condemns it, and tells me why I shouldn't feel it at all. It tells me that it is all going to be okay. It barks out all these orders about what I need to do so that I can finally stop feeling the feeling. Worse still, sometimes when you share with me your sadness, fear, anger, I do the same stupid thing to you. I'm sorry. It's wrong and I'm sorry. Your feelings, my feelings, are not evil things that need to be beat back. Feelings can't be beat back. She says it. I mean, even if you're really good at just stuffing them down, they're gonna explode at some point. There's gonna be a moment where your body is going to literally react. Some people, even when they're holding in a lie, will break out in hives or rashes. Some people will feel physically sick or get physically sick because of their emotion, because of what it's doing to them inside, internally. It's wild. Feelings can't be beat back. They can't be ignored or dismissed. They are trying to tell us something. Page 7. As you go through all of this beginning, you're going to feel a lot. And you may not feel it all. You may feel numb. You might feel absolutely nothing. Or, better note, you feel so content, so straight and narrow, so I'm on my boat, right? I'm in my boat. I'm in the river. Here's the emotional side. Here's the logical side. And I'm steering real well in the middle. I'm so proud of you, just so you know. Good for you. I really am. Then, sometimes, life has a way of coming in seasons, right? Or at least that's what I believe in. I believe in seasons. So, sometimes that river is going to get narrower and narrower and narrower. And it's going to get harder to stay away from the emotional side and the logical side, and then you're going to be bonking into one and ramming into the other and bonking into this side and ramming into that side. So what do we do? What do we do? And that's what we're here to learn.